Hi, Kevin here. Today we're fixing a traditional French-Canadian Christmas pie. It's actually a meat pie that's highly fragrant with allspice and ginger and cinnamon and some other wonderful things. Anyway, the first thing we need is the crust. Alright, this is a 2-crust pie, so what I have in my food processor is 3 cups of all-purpose flour. And to the flour, I'm going to add 1 teaspoon of salt. Also going to add 2 sticks. That's like 1 cup, or let's say each stick is 113 grams of cold, diced, unsalted butter. And just sprinkle that over the flour. And then I'm going to pulse the machine a few times just to break up the butter. Oh, looks good. So what I have are little pea-sized bits of butter in the flour, and then I'm going to sprinkle on a 1/2 cup of cold water. Then I'm going to run the machine just until the dough starts to come together, but I'm not going to let it mass on the blade because I want a nice flaky crust. This won't take long at all, I promise. Oops. Now, why did you stop? There we go. I'll tell you, when you're filming a video, anything that can go wrong will go wrong. Okay. Now, here's our crust, and we are not overly mixed. So now what you do is just, oh, you can't even see. Remove the camera. Here's our hopeless looking crumbly dough, and what we do is just gather all of this into a ball. Pick up any stray bits that have tried to escape you. And then flatten the ball into a disc. I am doing this in real time here. Sorry it's taking me so long. Okay, then next step is to just cover the dough with plastic wrap. And then this goes into the refrigerator for an hour or longer. And while the dough is chilling, we can move on to the filling. All right, on to the filling ingredients. So what I have here is about 1.5 pounds of Yukon Gold potatoes that I peeled and quartered and I've covered with cold water. I'm going to bring these to a boil on the stove top, and when they are fork tender, we will mash them. Meanwhile, we have to deal with an onion. Okay, so next you need a large white or yellow onion, and you need to finely dice the onion. We don't want any big chunks in this pie. Now we're going to move over to the stove. Alright, we're at the stove top, and here are my potatoes, and here's my 12-inch skillet. And what I'm going to do is add a knob of butter, and the skillet is set over medium heat. I'm going to add just a short drizzle of olive oil. Then in go the diced onions. going to lower the heat. And I'm just sauteing the onions briefly to make sure they're coated with the oil and butter. And then I'm going to cover them and let them sweat. Again, that's over low heat, just until they're perfectly soft. That's going to take, 5 to 7 minutes, so we'll come back. Okay, my onions are perfectly soft. So now I'm going to add 1 pound of ground beef. This happens to be ground sirloin, but you could use beef of any fat content you like. I'm also going to add 1 pound of ground pork, because that is traditional for this meat pie. I have tried making this pie with just ground beef, and, well, it's not as good as when you use both beef and pork. And then, I want my other spatula, my flat spatula. You want to break up the meat. Just do this very quickly at first. Rather, break it up coarsely at first. I'm still recovering from a foot injury, so I'm not moving quite as spryly as I used to. Okay, or would like to at the moment. Okay, going to get this all mixed in. Okay, and then the very important next step, I'm going to add what's called a holiday spice mixture. And what this is kosher salt, freshly ground black pepper. I will give you the exact proportions that I'm using in the description box below. Ground ginger, ground nutmeg, ground allspice, ground cinnamon, and ground cloves. I also have some, where is it? I also have some rubbed sage in this, about a teaspoon. Anyway, I'm going to add this to the meat mixture. Stir it in. Oh boy, does this smell good. That's why the French Canadians call this a Christmas pie or a holiday pie. It's because of the very festive fragrance of the pie. Okay, and I'm going to let this cook covered for about 5 to 10 minutes until the meat is thoroughly done, and every now and then I'll remove the lid and I'll break up the meat some more. We want it to be fairly crumbly. See you in a bit. Alright, so my meat is pretty much well done. It's still just barely pink, and I have been crumbling it from time to time. So now I'm going to add about a half cup of organic beef stock. It's going to add some terrific flavor. Stir that in. The rattling sound you hear is are my potatoes boiling away. They're still not fork tender. Okay. And then I'm going to increase the heat on the meat mixture just to medium. And then I want the meat to simmer quietly until all of the, actually I'm going to do this uncovered. I'm going to let the meat simmer until all of the beef stock has evaporated. Okay? And then we'll come back when we're ready to mash up the potatoes, because we will be adding those to the meat mixture. Okay, you guilted me into removing just some of the fat. And the fat is it's the greasy looking stuff that is rising to the top of the pan. Just putting this in a little bowl. I'm not going to remove much of the fat because this is a holiday pie after all. There, that's enough. Okay, and we'll come back when this has pretty much dried up, and then I'll show you the next step. All right, my potatoes are now fork tender, so I'm going to drain off the water. And yes, I do know that some people like to add a little bit of the potato water to the meat mixture, but I don't do that. Hang on. And then just going to mash the potatoes with a plain old potato masher. Do this over here where you can see, oh, these were gorgeous Yukon Gold potatoes. And I like Yukon Gold for this meat pie because Yukon Gold potatoes tend to be very creamy in texture. You're looking good here. So now let's have a look at the meat mixture. This has been cooking for about 45 minutes. So you don't need to be that close. And as you can see, the bottom of the pan is fairly dry, although the meat is still wonderfully moist and, as I said earlier, fabulously fragrant with the cinnamon, nutmeg, and other holiday spices we added. So now I'm going to cut the heat. Sure, cut that off. Nope. Hang on. One of the control knobs over here is loose, so I have to remember to call the manufacturer and file a complaint and order a new knob. Okay, now what we're going to do is add the mashed potatoes to the meat mixture. And as you saw, these are just plain mashed potatoes. I did not add any butter, nor any cream, nor any seasonings. Okay, let's stir this in. And between the little bit of fat in the pan and the potato mixture, or rather the mashed potatoes, the meat mixture should bind together really well. In other words, it should hold its shape after it bakes in the oven. Okay, so I'll finish stirring the potatoes into the meat, and then I'll meet you at the workstation where we can roll out the dough. Oh, but first we have to let this meat mixture come to room temperature, and it must be at room temperature because if you put a hot or even warm filling in the all butter pastry dough, well, you can imagine what will happen. The dough will disintegrate. We certainly don't want that. Oh, look at this. Ooh, yum. Hey, maybe we can eat it just like this without the crust. Looks and smells wonderful. Okay. Now, if you'd like your meat mixture to cool off rapidly, you can do what I've just done and put the skillet in some snow on your porch. We had 21 inches of snow here the other night, so might as well take advantage of it. Okay, I have a feeling that the meat mixture is going to cool off mighty quickly outside. So I'm going to go ahead and roll out the dough. And for the bottom crust, I'm going to need slightly more than half of this disc. So here's half, or 50%. Here's, about 60%. And again, this dough has been chilling for the last hour. Put this aside for a moment. And then I'm going to form this into a ball. And then flatten it into a disc. Then I'm going to let it sit here to become a little more malleable. It's too cold right now to roll out. I'll let it sit and become malleable, for about 15 minutes. So we'll come back. Okay, I think we're good to go here. And I will be baking the pie in this 9-inch wide by 2-inch deep pie pan. And I'm going to roll this dough to about a 13 to 14-inch diameter circle. So I'll come back when I'm close to finished. Actually, maybe you can keep me company while I roll out this dough. After all, I wanted to talk to you about Christmas 2020. Yeah, Christmas 2020 is going to be, well, it's going to be a weird Christmas because it's taking place during a pandemic. So I don't know what we're going to do. We've invited our friends Paul and David and Paul's 90-year-old father for Christmas dinner, but I'm not sure that they will come because, they want to be very careful with Paul's father, who is a delightful man named Pierre. I really like him. And Paul and David are both really into food, so they are terrific fun to cook for. In other words, they care if you've made an effort. You know how some people don't care, right? You've had those guests, right? You've gone all out to make something fabulous for them, and they say nothing. Okay. So Paul and David are not those kinds of people. Anyway, back to Christmas. So I'm not sure if Paul and David and Pierre will end up coming after all, because it might be safer for them to stay home. It might be safer for Mr. Fox and I to, just do what we did for Thanksgiving and have, dinner, for just the two of us. Anyway, that was my inspiration for making this tourtiere, because instead of doing my usual Christmas turkey or Christmas ham or Christmas goose, thought it might be fun to experiment with something different. And even though I've made this pie before, I haven't made it in a long time. So here's my chance to practice. Okay, we're at about 14 inches here, so what I do is fold the dough into a triangle, and then I center it in the pie plate and unfold. Voila! And you want to gently let the crust just really fall into the pan. In other words, don't stretch the dough, because the dough will shrink a bit in the oven, so if you've stretched it, you'll have trouble. Just ease it into the pan. And if you end up with little creases, well, just push them in, because no one is going to see them. Okay, let me see how my filling is doing. See how my filling is chilling out in the snow and in the, I think we're below 20 degrees Fahrenheit right now. Gee, I hope my filling isn't frozen. Okay, I'm going to go out to the porch and come back with my report. Wow, that was quick. This cooled off in in the time it took me to roll out that dough. That's the glory of snow. So now in goes the filling. And you want to really pack it down. This is kind of hard to do. I'm trying to watch the monitor while holding this pan, so I'll finish filling the pie and then come right back. Okay, I've filled my pie plate, and I have to tell you, I snuck a taste of this stuff. It is unbelievably delicious, all by itself. Now I just want to smooth this top out. Smooth the top with the spatula. And again, I really packed that filling in here. I have a little bit of filling left, which is great, because as I said, it's delicious all on its own. And then I just have to roll out the top crust, and I'm going to roll this out to a 12-inch diameter circle. This will take me a minute, so I'll come back. All right, the top crust is rolled out, so do the same thing. Just fold it into quarters. Over the pie pan, center the crust, unfold. Voila, we're looking great here. Okay, and then what I'm going to do is take these scissors and cut off the excess dough. You could make little leaves or something. Press out little leaves with this excess dough and place it over the top. Okay, now I'm going to crimp the top crust and the bottom crust together. Hi, Tiger. Yeah, Tiger likes to be in the kitchen when I'm working, because the only reason anyone would ever enter this kitchen is in order to give Tiger a treat. And if she keeps this up, she will most certainly be getting a treat. She's no fool. Now, I forgot to tell you to preheat your oven to 375 degrees Fahrenheit. And this decorative edge may or may not hold its shape in the oven. We shall see. Actually, if you want a crust that will really hold its decorative edge, don't make it with butter. Make it with either Crisco or lard. Crisco and lard doughs always hold their decorative edge. Has something to do with the melting point of lard versus the melting point of butter. Okay, and then, now I saw someone on YouTube make a rather nifty venting system for the pie crust. So you could just cut some slits into the top crust, or I'm going to do what this YouTuber did and try to draw a tree. Tree with, let's see, we'll go like this. Maybe we'll put some little leaves. See, can you see? Making little leaves. And then these little vents will open up more in the oven. Since it's winter time, I'll put some leaves that have fallen down to the bottom. And have fallen onto the ground. Okay, then I'm going to give this top crust a very quick egg wash right after I give Tiger a treat. Hold on. Okay, Tiger got her treat, something called Temptations. So now on goes an egg wash. This is just one large egg beaten with about a teaspoon or so of water. I really don't like the look of the edge of my crust, so I might try to fix that. Paint over my trees and my leaves. We shall see how this works out. Okay, I am going to paint the edge. Yeah, the egg wash is going to help the crust to brown in the oven. Okay, I'm back. I rolled my pie crust out way too large, so I just trimmed off more of the excess, and everything looks better already. So into the oven it goes. See you in 1 hour. And here's our tourtiere, fresh out of the oven. And I have to say, it smells like $1,000,000. I could smell it as I was coming down the stairs, and boy, is it an enticing, an appetite-inducing aroma. So my little tree turned out very nicely. As you can see, the little branch slits that I made opened up, as did the leaves. And the crust turned out beautifully. It is browned nicely. I'm going to let the pie cool on this wire rack, for about an hour. Then we can cut into it and have a taste of it. All right, time for a taste. And I've just cut myself a nice big slice of tourtiere, and as you can see, the meat mixture really holds its shape inside of the pie crust. And the pie crust looks terrific. I know it will be terrific because I make this crust all the time. I should probably make this pie all the time because it smells so good. Oh yeah. You guys, I hope you will try this pie. Make it for Christmas, make it for New Year's, make it whenever. So the combination of beef and pork and the cinnamon and nutmeg and allspice mixture is just, well, it's out of this world. What else can I say about this? It's a great pie, okay? So again, give it a try. And if you are French Canadian, please let me know any special tips or tricks you have for making tourtiere. And what else did I want to say? Oh yeah, I hope you'll subscribe to this YouTube channel if you have not already. And please post a comment below. I do read all of your comments, and I really love hearing from you. And if I don't see you before Christmas, well, happy Christmas to you. Thanks so much for watching. Okay, bye for now. Oh, I forgot to mention, this pie is traditionally served, from what I've read, with ketchup, just plain old ketchup. But it's also terrific, yes, Tiger, it's also terrific with either beef gravy or pork gravy. And you might like to serve it with a side of peas. Just pretend there are some peas over here or somewhere on the plate. Okay, again, thanks for watching. I'll see you very soon. Bye for now.